Today, I'll introduce a powerful mathematical tool called the linear stability analysis. It is a tool often used to probe the behavior of a complex system when it's pushed to the tipping point, where even a very small disturbance can cause the system to lose balance and become unstable. Many systems are on the brink of losing balance near a critical point where even a small random disturbance can cause spontaneous transition of the system to a totally different state. The linear stability analysis enables us to obtain physical insights about a complex system, even if the governing equations are nonlinear and there is no clean, exact analytical solution. Linear stability analysis has been used to describe complex processes like pattern formation in the clouds in the sky, population dynamics of predator-prey in the wildlife, breakup of thin liquid films, and many more examples. We are going to start with an easier example of a simple pendulum to introduce the concepts of the linear stability analysis. Suppose that we have a simple pendulum of a mass that's connected to a moment arm of length L, described by an angular displacement theta about the vertical, which is the direction that gravity G is pointing towards. The pendulum goes back and forth, so theta is a function of time. The evolution equation that describes the back and forth motion in the absence of gravity is given by this equation comes from a torque balance where the first term is the angular acceleration and the second term is the torque due to gravity. Omega naught is the natural frequency of the pendulum given by the square root of the gravitational constant g divided by the length. It has units of inverse time, so it is the natural frequency of the pendulum. This equation is a second-order nonlinear ODE because of the sine term, which is a nonlinear function of theta. It technically does have an exact solution, but it involves like the elliptic integral of the first kind, an annoying integral that we don't want to deal with at the moment. Stepping aside from the simple pendulum at the moment, there are many complex systems in science and engineering where we are unable to obtain an exact solution to a differential equation, or we are just not that interested in obtaining the full solution as a function of space and time. For those problems, we may not have an exact convenient solution to describe the full dynamics, but we can identify key points within the full solution that do solve the equation. For this simple pendulum problem, we have a nonlinear ODE with no clean exact solution, but there are two key points that are kind of interesting. For this example, when the pendulum is at the very bottom, the pendulum is at rest at the bottom, so the angle theta is 0, and the angular velocity is also equal to 0. Since both the acceleration and the sine of 0, the angle, is equal to 0, this is a solution to this equation. Another point is when the pendulum is in the inverted position at the very top, where the angle theta is equal to pi. The angular velocity at this point could also be equal to 0, and the sine of the angle pi is equal to 0, so they are both solutions to this equation. These are called fixed points, where there are specific points within the full solution that solve the governing equation. While we cannot obtain a clean, easy solution to the full equation, we know that these 2 points are solutions to the equation. They are subsets of the full solution. These fixed points also happen to be points that are interesting to us from a physical standpoint, especially this inverted pendulum position. We can now perform what's called a linear perturbation about the fixed points. We have taken the fixed points theta naught and added a small deviation or perturbation epsilon, which is a function of time. And this epsilon is a very, very small number. Imagine taking the pendulum at a fixed point and flicking it by a very, very small amount. That's what this value of epsilon represents. And our goal is to see what happens to this small little flick that you gave the pendulum as a function of time. See what happens to this value of epsilon as a function of time. We can now substitute this linear perturbation back into our original governing equation. The first term is easy because the derivative of a constant theta naught is equal to 0. Let's look at the second term. We can write a trig expansion of sine of an angle A plus B and expand it. Since epsilon is a small number, I have Taylor expanded the cosine of epsilon and sine of epsilon using the Taylor expansion. We can now rewrite the governing equation through all of this as the acceleration term comes straight down, and the next term is a sine of the theta naught, followed by the leading order term in epsilon that comes from the sine expansion right here. I have taken all quadratic terms in epsilon and higher, all of the nonlinear terms, into this error term down here, which we will ignore in our problem because epsilon is a really small number and squares and cubics of a small number are even smaller than that. Notice that this equation is now a linear ordinary differential equation in epsilon. What we have basically done is taken this nonlinear equation and converted it into a linear ordinary differential equation. This process is called linearization, and this linear ODE has an easy solution given by the solution has the form of an exponential with two constants of integration c1 and c2 and an exponent alpha that's given by omega naught, the natural frequency, times the square root of the negative of cosine theta. This solution tells us how a small little flick that we gave to a fixed point changes as a function of time. And we can now evaluate the solution of these two fixed points using this equation that we have. When the pendulum is at the very bottom, cosine of 0 is equal to 1, and therefore we have a square root of -1, which gives us an imaginary unit. Euler's formula tells us that the exponentials of an imaginary unit are oscillatory solutions of sines and cosines. When you think about it, this is consistent with your physical intuition. When you give the pendulum in the bottom position a small little flick, you would expect to get an oscillatory solution that goes back and forth forever without the influence of friction if you don't have air drag. This solution is not unstable because that small little flick isn't going to explode on you as a function of time. Now let's look at the other fixed point, the inverted pendulum when the mass is at the top. Now theta naught is equal to pi, and so the cosine of pi is equal to -1, so the square root just becomes 1, and therefore the eigenvalue alpha just equals to omega naught. Now you can clearly see that the solution decays for one case, but the other solution explodes as a function of time. And therefore we conclude that this fixed point is unstable because a small little perturbation or a flick that you give the solution explodes as a function of time. This is also consistent with your physical intuition because an inverted pendulum should not stay in that configuration at finite temperatures. When we say perturbations, we mean that physical flicks of the pendulum could also be coming from the thermal fluctuations of the surrounding environment. Now, a plot of the solution is shown here. The orange curve, shown here, is the oscillatory solution that goes back and forth, back and forth. It's not unstable because the solution is not diverging away to infinity. It remains at a fixed value and oscillates at that fixed value until infinity. When you add drag to this equation, you will see that the solution will decay, so it is a proper stable solution. Now the blue curves are the unstable fixed point. You can see that one solution decays as a function of time exponentially quickly, whereas the other solution diverges as a function of time. What we just did in this process is to perform a linear stability analysis. We evaluated the stability of the fixed points to a solution to linear perturbations right here in epsilon. So there are two key comments that I would like to make regarding this process. Linear stability analysis gives you a binary answer. Is the solution stable or not? Is that fixed point stable? Second, the linear stability analysis does not tell you how the pendulum behaves at late times. That's not the point of this process. We said that this pendulum perturbation applies to only a small value of epsilon, so once the pendulum displaces by a moderate amount from the top, we have no idea what happens. The linear stability analysis does not tell you what happens when the pendulum displaces by a large amount. The power of linear stability analysis is that Even though we do not have the full solution describing the complex system, we know quite a lot about the behavior of the system in the near vicinity of key solution points within the full solution. I like this example as an introduction to linear stability analysis because the simple pendulum is an easy example that we've all seen, and the actual evolution equation is actually nonlinear with no easy exact solution. And we know from living life that one of these fixed points is stable, whereas the other one is unstable, and the math checks out with our physical intuition. However, in many problems in science and engineering, we do not have the physical intuition going into the problem. We have no idea whether a certain point in the system is the pendulum up or the pendulum down position, and we need to perform a linear stability analysis to figure out its stability. Linear stability analysis is a very common and powerful tool to understand the stability of a complex system. For example, in population dynamics, the population of a predator, like a lion, is coupled to the population of prey, like gazelles. There is just enough lions so that the gazelles don't overpopulate and eat all of the plants. Yet we don't want the lions to overpopulate because that will drive the extinction of the gazelles, leading to an unhappy and unstable population decay. The big circle of life is maintained by a delicate balance of these parameters, and some perturbations to this fixed point, like climate change, could drive an instability of a population. In addition to describing the circle of life, linear stability analysis is also used in chemical catalysis, atmospheric flows and patterns, fluid mechanics, astrophysics, and virtually every field in science and engineering. The governing equations for these problems are often nonlinear with no clean, exact analytical solution. But the fixed points can be easy to determine, and linear stability analysis can give us a binary answer of stability around the fixed points, plus actually a bit more physical insight, usually in the form of a length scale, a key time or length scale of the instability.